Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm waiting for the response. I prayed that this blessed time I should not be alone. So I was waiting for the response because I'm inviting every heart, every member to be with me. The Kgoroeadira family, Piliso, Mazibugo, Murake, Kamede, and Kikani. The list goes on. I'd like to welcome and thank everybody to be present on this special occasion prepared by God for us. We gathered here to come and celebrate a life well lived. With that word, I don't want to waste time. May I kindly ask you to rise, let us pray. Let us unite in a prayer. Modimo rara, Kgosi ya legodimo le lefatshe, mopi wa dilo tsotlhe, wena o lorato, moeteledipele wa rona, mogomotsi wa rona, wena o reng le bone le kganyang mo tseleng e re tsamayang go yona. Re tla ka nako ena re tlhome ka re ngwelela moya pele ga terone ya gago. Re tlisitse bongwana ba rona re re a go galaletswe leina la gago le rorisiwe ke batho botlhe, gonne wena o modimo o senang kgethollo, o ile wa tlhola motho mo setshwanong sa gagwe ka lebaka la gore motho o a tla a bitsiwe pheletsong gore ke ngwana wa gago, gonne a boloka ditaelo tsa gago, gonne a phela wena, gonne wena e le yena le yena e le wena. Ke mantswe a ileng a bua ke morwa wa gago Kgoroeadira ge le ba mmotsa gore ga o re ya go ntatago kae ene ntatago ke mang, o re go bona tšheka ga bolela rona ka tsatsi la ga o bone nna o bone ntate o phela mo nna le nna ke phela go wena. ba Kgoroeadira bohle masika re amogela bohle ba ba leng teng mona re re morena re tlile ka kgopolo e le nngwe pele ga sefatlhego sa gago ka tiro ena e wena o re tlhorefaditseng ga yona gore re beye mongwe kelelong re beye mongwe kgopolong ya kutlwa botlhoko e ne re le mo wena gonne wena wa re go sego bao ba utlwisitseng motlhoko gonne ba tla gomodiwa go sego ba llang ba tla go wena gonne mogomotsi o teng o tla ba gomotsang re tlile ko wena re tlisa mpho e le nngwe e wena o ile wa re fang yona e le tebogo re tlile leboga botshelo ba ngwana o ne o re tlhogolofaditse ka wena ga se sebaka sa gore rona le wena re ka tlo lwela ngwana ona gonne e ne e se wa rona e ne e le wena o ne o mo kadimile rona ge wena o mmetsitse rona re tla re kgome pele ga wena re re go siame go lokile morena botlhoko re bojele re bo utlwile yaanong re tla ka go ineela go wena re re mo lokisetse bodulo gonne wena o rile bodulo bo bongata ntlong ya gago ke tla ke tlo le tsaya bongwe ka bongwe gonne lona le batla le kgethile le ratile ke modimo re re tlhogolofatsa botlhe ba tlileng mona gonne ba tlile go tla tlisa dikgomotso le mantswe a pholo go ba Kgoroeadira gore sika lotlhe re tla amogela morena mantswe ao ebile re leboga morena gore o ile wa re boloka ba bantsi go seng mona ga ka ba kgona gore ba tsoge mo malaong a le ba le mona mara rena re tsogile ra kgona re bula matlho e ne se ka tsebo ya rona ebile ne se ka lerato la bona rona mara e ne le ka matagago ke ka mo re tlang le thoriso a e be go wena morena re rapela lefatshe le re phela mo lona e le South Africa le badudi ba lona re re busa dipelo tsa bona e be setšhaba seo o ile wa se ratang bona ba se go rate ba se go itse mara wena le se ba ratile rapela le baeteledipele ba ba rateletseng pele sa se matlhogonolo re re kgopolo tse ba nang le tsona le dikakanyo tse ba nang le tsona the decisions that they are making, let it not be the decision that will please them, but that will be the decision that is going to build this country and make it a better country. Morena re kopa gore pheletso ya letsatsi lena right e be wena tla re tlholofatsang be re tsogona tshireletso godimo ga rona e ra ga tsamaya re fitlha malapeng a rona ko baneng ko batswading ba rona ko basading ba rona re boloketsegile morena re neele ka moya wa mosikwe o wena o ile wa mofa rona gore phela ka ona ke yona o re kopantseng tsotlhe re kopeng lebakeng la morwa wa gago Jesu Kriste o ileng a tla re itshwarela melato a re fa bophelo bo sa feleng amen. We can sit down. Is there a song or a hymn before I start? Or should I go on? Death is an ultimate form of healing. We normally look at it or accept it in a very painful manner. It is painful. It is very painful. There I don't want to lie. No belief that can stand against death. It's when we need God, our Redeemer, our provider, to provide us with one thing, His grace, to can stand against it. What have we learned? What are the pumula dikeledi tsohle matlhong a rona? Ga go kitla go tlhola go ba loso. Le gona ga go kitla go tlhola go ba bohutsana. Le fa e le selelo. Le fa e le botlhoko. Dilo tsotlhe tsa pele di fetile e le ruri. Go yena go ngwaneso re simola bophelo bo botjha. Ba re tla ke lebetse go itse re ke kitse gore nna ke mang. Nna ke nna Jeffrey lentswe Kgoroeadira. Michael Rapulane Gausitu is my nephew. Ntate o motsalang le mme o motsalang, they are my cousins. Ore ntate o motsalang le mme o motsalang le nna re tsala ke borra rona mogolo bohle. My father is a brother to their father. Ke ka moo ke eme mona ke emetse losika lo Kgoroeadira. Na ke wele ko mantsweng a ka dilo tsotlhe tsa kgale tse ne re di itse di fetile mara kgopolo ya gagwe le diketso tsa gagwe e tla dula mo dipelong tsa rona go ya go sa feleng. Rapulana ha o sipi. Ke ngwana ke ntate o bonolo, o lorato, o tlhompho. O ne a fositse leina la gagwe ka tota ruri gore ga a thusi, gonne mothusi wa gagwe e ne e le Modimo motlhodi wa gagwe. Go na le polelo e reng mme motswadi o tlhonolofatsa ka ngwana o a godisiwe ke setšhaba, a se rate, a se rute, a se thuse, e be setšhaba se se tla itseweng ka ditiro tsa tsona tse molemo e le botlhale bo ile matswa ko phalaneng. Ngwana o ne a tswetswe ke batswadi. Ka tsatsi le batswadi bona ba mo tswetseng ba tlo utlwa bophelo ba ngwana o mo tswetseng ya dilo tse dingwe tse le ba sa di itse ka yena. Ke ka moo re dileng ra kopa tirelo ena, go buisana go kopana gore tirelo ena a e bee teng, gore go sa be teng ga gage ka ga nama go tlisa kgopolo e ntle mo moeng ya rona go tloga yaanong go ya pele ka botshelo ba rona. If you want to know the manners, behavior, and the character of a child, look at the people who is associated with. The one who walks with the wise becomes wise. Lekwalo le ke kopile la tumelo, a biblical scripture. Leo ke kopile gore a re lebale gore dibui tsotlhe ga di tla di tlo bua di berekele mo dimo ga molaetsa o. Le tla tswa mo lekwaleng la moprofeta Isaiah chapter 57, only 2 verses, 1 and 2. Isaiah 57, verse 1 and 2. Ke tla bala ka seleme ka leleme la Sevenda pele, and then ke bala ka leleme la Setswana. Ke bala ga yana verse 1. The righteous perish. Kona le o ntsamaelang go pele o batla go ntimisa. Ke bala ga yana. The righteous perish, and no man takes it to heart. Merciful men are taken away, while no one considers that the righteous are taken away from the evil. Verse 2, he shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds. Each one walks in his upright. Ka leleme la Setswana le re mosiami o ya nyelela, mme ga go ope yo o elang tlhoko ka pelo. Banna ba tumelo ba tlosiwa, mme ga go kgatlhe ope, ga go kgathale ope, gonne mosiami o tlosiwa tatlhego e ise etle. O tsena mo kagisong, ba ba tsamaile mo tseleng e molemo e siameng ba ikhutsa mo malaong a bona. Today re tlile re tlo ikhutsa mo mesebetsing ya senatla sa mosimane wa Mosikwe, senatla sa mosimane wa Tholo Rapulane. Ka ona mantswe ao nna ya ka tiro e fela mona ne ke rata go bitsa o latelang o tlo balang tsa botshelo ba Rapulane, ga o sipi, eulogy ya gagwe e leng wili Kgoroeadira. Ke a leboga.
I'm standing in front of you, being given a very difficult task for the day, to talk about the life. You're my cousin. I would call him Malome, though we are cousins. We spend so much time watching soccer games, go to stadiums, visiting their offices, go Kgoroeadira in Rosebank. And standing here saying these words of farewell to him. I know it will be farewell in physical form, but in spirit will be with us till eternity. So what we've done, we've combined an obituary with a eulogy at Rapulane, given the current circumstances. So I'll read to you an obituary of Kgoroeadira Rapulane, Kgoroeadira Michael. Rapulane was born on the 1st of February 1971 at number 1722 Dube South. He was the second child of Kabelo Ernest, the Lion of Judah, and Kgoroeadira. The name Kgoroeadira was given by his father, declaring that God never fails. Because he, the father, had been knocked down by a hit-and-run car a few weeks prior to him being born. For his primary education following the 1976 student riots, his parents decided to send him and his two sisters to St. Brendan's, a Catholic school at Soekmekara. For the first 2 months, Rapulane was very traumatized at unreasonableness of the harsh treatment of pupils at the school. And as you can imagine, I can imagine most of us have spent time in Rapulane and you know how vocal he is and how argumentative he is. Let's say Rapulane was very traumatized by what he had experienced at the school. He would say, "Ha! Ka donor dag, ke letsatsi la se gore donor." On completing his primary education, he and his younger sister refused to continue at the boarding school. So they proceeded to St. Matthew's High School in Moroka, close to Regina Mundi. It is in this school that Rapulane was taught, among others, by Advocate Sikakane and the political analyst Mr. Aubrey Mashiku, who at the time were both school teachers. He then proceeded to Howard College, University of Natal, for his law studies. He served his articles in KwaZulu-Natal and then came to work at the Legal Aid, or Legal Wise, in Johannesburg. It is at the University of Natal that Rapulane met his future wife, the late Dr. Mapao Bulane Sarah Morake. They were married on the 22nd of September 2001 at St. Luke Methodist Church in Welkom, until they were separated by death on the 11th of February 2020. They were blessed with 3 children, Bontle and the twins, Boipelo and Boitshepo. After a short stint with Legal Aid, Rapulane felt that it was time to move on and open a practice. They set up Kgoroeadira Rapanda legal practice at Khotso House, where they were joined by Chris Mudau and later by Tandega Nkala. They worked together for some years. Those were the lean years. They then moved separate ways for employment, but kept close. Rapulane joined the Intelligence Services Foreign Branch, then known as the South African Secret Service, in 2004. From the State Attorney, he held the role of legal advisor and counterintelligence matters and soon rose through the ranks. He was pivotal in the conceptualization and operations of the Security Clearance Advisory Board. When the manager of the legal services at the FB, which is the advisory board, left the service, Rapulane was appointed to his position in 2008. He executed his task with aplomb and became very dependable on both strategic legal issues and operations. It was during this time that he earned the title of Mpati. He tried to divert the name to others within his unit, typical Rapulane. And as a result, he called a few others Mpati as well. The title stuck with him and he became Mpati even beyond his unit and indeed the workplace. In the early years at the service, he was constantly at the in-house crash, dropping off and picking up his children. During the amalgamation of the intelligence services for the formation of SSA, State Security Agency, he was at the forefront on legislative matters, and it came as no surprise that he became an overall head of legal services. In the amalgamated legal, head of legal services in the amalgamated legal structure. Mpati, as was known, had a sense of humor, and high position did not change his humor and humility. When he was wrong, he did not hesitate to apologize, even to his subordinates, famously saying, "Eish, hade, sorry for you." He used to say team errors are his as a team leader. He was a great leader. He was a great leader who believed in team work empowerment of his subordinates, which he did very subtle, in a subtle manner, that the recipient thereof would take time to realize. Rapulane would throw you in the deep end, but guard against you drowning. In 2018, he left government, as was destined. Rapulane and his twin, Mutau, born on the same day, same month, and same year, got back together to open Kgoroeadira Incorporated, a private law firm. He worked here until his untimely demise from COVID-19 complications. Mike was one of the prominent legal minds doing important work at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. He will be missed for his sharp legal mind, excellent writing skills, his integrity and passion for his work. He was a socialite, a professional par excellence, and a gentleman with humor. I forgot to say he was very passionate about his team, Amapagane. I know one of his friends is here, and I heard him say that, it's unfortunate that he has the last word, but Rapulane is not here to listen to him saying that, the coach being fired yesterday would have been all over his face. Rapulane was involved in many activities on which his many friends will comment. He was an ANC cadre, was with Black Lawyers Association and others. Rapulane's beautiful smile and loud laughter will be sadly missed by many. He loved and protected his children like a mother hen. When their aunt Pamora would talk to the kids, he would make sure he comes close to them and want to know what is she saying to them. He was a generous and giving person. Talking about generous and giving person, and just to divert a bit from what has been prepared as a eulogy. His generosity touched many, especially in an area where I grew up in, Kgoroeadira, Pineville. I would call him Mdao knows. When things happen and people would need legal representation, I would call on Rapulane to come. And not once, he said no to me. Rapulane is survived by his 4 children, Tshegofatso, Bontle, Boipelo, Boitshepo, and his mother Ncane, and his elder sister Pamela, nieces and nephews. Babala Kagiso Musikwe, Moto Omama Tere. Hello.
You are worthy, Jesus. You are worthy, Jesus.
Thank you, beloved. This is a true testimony of what I said about the scripture book that I read in relation to what has been done by a wonderful soul, Rapulane. Ke tlo bitsa magato a mabedi, 2 categories. Legato lengwe le lengwe le na le boitsepedi. Another category, it also has 2 speakers. Without disturbance, speak their heart out, but taking consideration of time. The former colleagues. The first one will be Mr. Natitemba Mkalipi. Utalatela will be followed by Mr. Lufefe Spau. That will be those 2, and that category are former colleagues. The second category will be category of friends, ditsala. Go tla simola advocate Menzi Similani, a latelwe ke tsala, a friend, Thula Babe Mosia. Ke kopa ba tle ka go latelana jalo. Ke a leboga.
Let's make it a prayer this morning. Zongi,
Program director, the entire family, the Kgoroeadiras, the Morakes, the Gamedes, and the Mazabukos, the entire family, the distinguished members of the legal fraternity here present, and I see some political principles as well around us. I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I would like to start off by saying to the family, in as much as we're all hurting because of the untimely passing of our brother and friend, let us thank God that He has allowed us this moment and given us strength to stand and celebrate a life He had loaned to us. As was indicated, my name is Zanetemba Mkalipi. I know in the program it does say I'll speak as a colleague, but I'm more comfortable saying I'm speaking about my older brother and a friend. Before I share a few anecdotes about how I have known Mike, allow me to say that as friends, some of them are not here, who met him at work, are equally saddened by his untimely passing. In as much as we prayed with the family when he took ill, we mourn with you today. Your loss is our loss. We are all asking the question, why? And sometimes answers are not forthcoming. Be that as it may, we wish to stand here as Rapulane's friends and colleagues at work to support you and say, let go and let God in. As was rightly pointed out by the program director. To the kids, Tsepo Fatso, Untle, Pilo, and Tsepo, we as your colleagues, your father's colleagues and friends, know too well that you too may be asking questions. We want to ask you, rather no, we want to invite you to let God handle all your doubts and your anxieties. As you embark on this journey, because dealing with the loss is a journey in which you must allow God to take your hand, we would like to share a short verse with you from the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18. And it reads as follows. The Lord is close to those brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. At this time of loss, we ask that you allow God to heal your hearts and bind your wounds. As I was coming here, program director, members of the family, and everyone here present, I was reminded of a book entitled Live Your Dash, Make Every Moment Count, authored by one Linda Ellis. In a nutshell, what Linda Ellis says in this book, when your life is over, everything you did will be represented by a single dash between two dates. Born in 1971, died in 2021, with a dash in the middle. And she says, The date on which you were born and the date on which you depart are not important. What matters is the dash between those dates. How you lived your life, what other lives did you touch? And I'm standing here wanting to say to everybody here, I'm one of those lives that the dash touched. And I want to invite the family and everybody, because we are all sad, to choose to remember the pleasant ways in which he touched our lives. Let's remember the dash, the gregariousness, the easygoing character, the laughs, the jokes, and the harmless teasing. Those who know Mike would know that he would tease you with no intentions of actually hurting you, but to make you feel at ease. As you would say it, relax, Chief. Even those who may have thought he meant harm would soon realize actually he's a likable guy. Mike loved the company of others, didn't care who you are. He cracked a joke even with senior most people in where he worked. Sometimes even uptight people who don't normally laugh at jokes would end up getting into stitches because of his jokes. I met Mike on the 1st of March 2004. I remember that date very vividly because that's when him and I and many colleagues, some of whom are not here, joined the foreign branch of the State Security Agency. As was rightly pointed out at that time, it was called the South African Secret Service. We attended an induction which I believe was 1 week long. And I remember this funny guy sitting next to me at the very back. And the people who were running the induction had some housekeeping matters to announce. And one of the things they said was that there will be short breaks where we will be given tea and snacks. And then lunch would be between 12:45 and 1:30. Apparently, Mike paid particular attention to the details of that announcement. Somewhere at about 9:30, he turned around and looked at me and says, I'm hungry. I remember when the induction was over, free food was not there. We were back to our houses, those who were staying at the hotels. Him and one friend of ours who's not here started the ritual of bringing lunch boxes to work. His name is Papa Masole. Bilo and Tsepo were at the crash at our workplace, and Mike would bring them along when he comes to work, drop them, and come into the office. But when he arrived, his breakfast lunchbox was empty. And we always asked him, what happened to your food? He would say, I ate it with the kids, man, they were crying. And he would then eat his lunch box for breakfast and order lunch at our tuck shop. And we used to tease him about this. I still talked about it, but he would deflect attention and talk about the sizes of other people's lunch boxes. He took a liking to some of us, and I was one of those. And I must say, I've never worked directly with him, but I've observed him working with his colleagues who ended up taking over the title of Mpati, even though he was Mpati, and Lufefe is one of them. One day he said to me, Mhlekazi, you come from the Eastern Cape. I said, yes. And I want to invite you to my house. And that's when it all started. We visited each other. Pilo and Tsepo were still babies. Buntle, I'm sure, remembers those days. It was 2004. And he made me one promise that in addressing my strong rural background, because he used to call me Udikawawe, but an educated one, as if he was paying me a compliment, an educated fool, I will take you to Soweto and show you around Uyeke Ubalikawa. And indeed, he took me to Soweto. I remember the first place we went to in 2004 was in Rockville. I won't go into the details of our misadventures over there. But I met so many of his friends, and I was not surprised that on this program I see friends, friends, friends. I met so many people, I can see many of them here. I can see Tulani, his close friend Madombolo, Gordon, I think I saw him. That was Mike. When I lost my father in 2017, Mike and Gordon Madombolo drove that treacherous stretch to Makanda in the Eastern Cape to support us as we laid our father to rest. That was Mike. He cared deeply about other people. He didn't like sadness though. If you were sad, he will say to you, get it out of your chest, Chief, life is too short. I remember I've shared many of my problems even though I didn't report to him, with him. And there's one thing though, which relates to what I said earlier. If I was sad, he would say, let's go and eat. Because Mike thought if you had something in your tummy, you start thinking straight. He wanted to make you relax. That was Mike. I want to repeat this. He didn't like seeing other people sad. I spoke to him a lot in the weeks before he took ill, particularly after both him and I vaccinated. We were cracking jokes as usual about how we took the jab. When he took ill, I called him and he assured me he was fine. I did, however, hear from his voice that he was not well, but didn't want me to stress about it. And he said, I'm in good hands here at home, but we'll go to hospital should it be necessary. When he was admitted, I called him. He didn't answer. I sent a message to which he responded, I'm in hospital. Little did I know that would be the last conversation he would have. But he didn't want anyone to be sad, and he fought a good fight. I therefore, to once more, wish to say, we are all mourning, but let us celebrate the dash, remember the good moments and the friendships. And I want to conclude, Program Director, without wasting too much of your time, with a poem that I would like the family, particularly the kids, to take in. The author of the poem is unknown. It's entitled, I'm Free. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God laid for me. I took his hand when I heard all his call. I turned my back and left it all. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. Life has been full. I savored much, good friends, good times, and a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seemed a lot brief, all too brief. Don't lengthen it with undue grief. Lift up your heart and share with me. God wanted me now, he set me free. Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return to the womb of the earth. The Lord hath given, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Amen.
Thank you, Program Director. I greet everyone with protocol observed, the family, all the VIPs and leadership in our presence, and those of us who are joining us virtually. There's many of them that are joining us. Program Director, it cannot be an easy task for anyone to talk about a person we have known for more than 20 years, because that's a long time when you have only a few minutes. In between, there'll be gaps, there'll be memory lapses, there'll be time constraints, especially in this difficult time to live in. But let me say, knowing Rapulane has been remarkable and a long journey. Of the more than 20 years I've known him, we spent more than 6 of those years working together in government. specifically in the intelligence services. We met in the year 2004. We worked in the same unit, I think 2005. But then our closeness grew when he became a manager of legal services at SAS, the current foreign branch of the SSA, the then Secret Service. We worked together until the year 2014. That's when I left the intelligence services. And he continued to work very well with others who are in attendance today. Program director, I never ever thought I would stand like this, talking about Rapulane in the past. And these are the sentiments that we shared with colleagues in the past few weeks. This underscores the harsh reality that the life we live is indeed very fragile. In the execution of his work, Rapulane spared neither strength nor effort. As a legal manager, we gave him, as his subordinate, the title of Mpati. But he didn't want the name to stick with him, so we would call within the unit a number of us, Mpati, 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 to the extent that the name would be neutralized. If you are an observer, then you don't know who's Mpati amongst all these people, because he calls this one Mpati, that one Mpati. But he stuck with him beyond just his unit, beyond legal services, even beyond the workplace. Other friends and associates of mine that have met him, known him as Mpati. His bubbly personality and linguistic abilities made him fit in many, many different situations that would otherwise be difficult. Sometime in 2008, as colleagues, we went for training in Pakistan, and in this accommodation establishment we were living in, it had to be 2 members. So I shared the room with him, and he would complain that, hey, I'm snoring. I said, Mpati, I have the same complaint about you, that you're snoring. I said, no, it's balanced, so it's 50-50. There should be no complaints, Mpati. I can hear myself. I can't hear myself when I'm snoring, but I can hear you. So he said, say, so let's leave it there. At that time, those who know Rapulane would know that he believed in his hair. He would like to comb his hair. And in one of the conversations we had, I said, Mpati, you know today's men are bold. They have chisco. This thing of yours, your banishment to Mpati, is unsustainable. You must get rid of this thing. He said to me, no, Mhlekazi. The reason why I'm keeping this hair is because my head was injured somewhere, so I've got some scars. That's why I don't want to expose my hair. I said, but you know, there are many guys who've got ugly heads, much uglier than what we are alleging is ugly. In the course of that conversation, Mpati was convinced, and eventually he agreed to cut his hair. Those who know him in the recent past would have seen that he was a chief spokesman, no longer with that kind of hair. We cannot forget the sense of humor that he had. Despite his positions, he never became pompous. He kept his humor, he kept his humility. But not to say he was not infallible as a human being, but he was quick. Whenever I was wrong, he was quick to apologize. To everyone, it has been said that he would say, no, Hadi, sorry, Mfethu. That was mine. That was Rapulane. He empowered us. You know, there was talk about the many lives he touched. I'm a witness of those lives. I'm one of those lives. There were many others in our workplace whose lives he touched. This is a man who was never guilty of intellectual dishonesty. If you write a document, you produce something, you say, no, your name must appear in that document. He would never pass it off as his, as some managers would do. They see a well-written document and they take it as if it's theirs. Meantime, it has been generated by a subordinate. So in 2018, then Mike left, after I had left. But when my time came to leave in 2014, I went to him and said, hey, Party, the guys at the top don't agree to me serving only 2 weeks' notice. What should I do? Because I'm needed in the other place by the 1st of July. This is on the eve of the weekend of June 16. Mpati said to me, look at it this way. Whoever doesn't want you to leave, what is the worst that they can do to you when you've indicated your intention that you want to resign? They can do nothing. So, if they want you in the other place, you've got my blessing, you can leave. So our closeness remained even beyond the office. When time for audit comes, I'll talk to him and say, Pat, let's talk about fruitless and wasteful expenditure. You know, there are these auditors on my case. Let's talk about litigation and interest that is charged there. And then we'll discuss on how to approach it. If you need any second opinion on any matter, Mike would be the man to talk to. We used to tease him about his shirt, because in the morning he would be nicely dressed, but around 11, the shirt is outside. He said, Mpati, no, you can't. He said, okay, Mpati, let's make a deal. We'll forgive you. If the shirt is no longer tucked, it must be after lunch, when you've had your lunch, not before lunch. He would tease colleagues at the tuck shop. If you have a big tummy, Mike would say, no, Chief, what do you want here? You are food, man. The stomach is food. It's visible. What do you want here? And if you have a big tummy, you say, so it was such a pleasure to work with him, and he will be sorely missed by a number of us, but God had decided that his time has come. So we'll miss him, we'll miss his thinking, we'll miss his writing, we'll miss his integrity. He always said to me, Mpati, I will never, never do something that is against the law. Even though I'm working in government, but my future is somewhere in business. I want to be back as a legal practitioner, so I cannot afford. The socialite, the professional, the gentleman, the fan of Orlando Pirates, the time we spent with him, those are the moments we will treasure for a very, very long time. We say to Mpati, may his soul rest in peace. May the family find strength in God's guidance. And thank you very much, Program Director.
Good afternoon. To the family of Mike, the Kgoroeadira family, especially Umama Rapulane, and the children. Please accept my deepest condolences for your loss. To friends and colleagues, please also accept my condolences. I cannot imagine how all of you feel at this moment. Indeed, it is true that Rapulane has departed and has left us for a better place. He touched our lives and will always have a place in our hearts. I first met Mike in 1990. We were actually in the same class. We're starting to be broke. Those who know Mike would Mike was a very, very nice guy. And a super, you know. Because he was always around you. You didn't only feel his presence, Mike, you had his presence because he made sure with Nyamuzo. He had a very big heart and he would engage always in a very, very playful manner. It was very difficult to take him serious. I don't think at varsity anybody took Mike seriously. And it didn't help he had friends who were exactly like him, about Dwayne and about Titus. They were a very chaotic bunch, extremely chaotic bunch, because these guys, it was nice to know, thank you, that you were their friends and they knew you, but if girls were to be involved, you quickly needed to distance yourself from them. Otherwise, you were always going to have problems justifying why you are friends with those guys. That's just how busy they were. They were all over the place. If you know Howard College, some residencies were on the one side of the campus and the other residencies were on the other side of the campus. And it didn't help that these guys, some of them stayed on both sides. So you could always hear them move up and down. And very, very loud. I'm not sure if Mike was the ringleader, but he was one of the loudest in that group. And being known as well for student politics, you could really not miss them because it was a small campus. But in class, he liked sitting at the back. Him and Titus influenced each other to sit at the back. And they let the silly ones like us sit at the front. Because, as Mike would say, we were struggling to hear and listen. We needed to sit at the front. They sat at the back and made fun of everybody, and the teachers included. And they were known in class as a chaotic branch, but funny enough, everybody actually liked them. We particularly always wanted to play around with the Indian students who liked sitting at the front as well. But by and large, if they were not in class, it was also very easy to tell because it would be unusually quiet. Outside of class, Mike was a big drinker with his friends. That's primarily, I suppose, why they were loud. It would be a very rare night to see them without each one holding a bottle or two of some of these intoxicating liquids. But they were always having fun. And yet they never actually got themselves into any form of trouble, contrary to what people associate people who drink with, which is trouble. These guys never got into trouble. And every year, miraculously, they progressed to the next class, despite what they presented to everybody. So we never competed with Mike because I always knew that somewhere he's studying. So some of us who were not that social and more into sports, we took time to study because we realized that you can't compete with those guys who appear as if they drink, but they can cross night for a night or two. To be safe, it's better to not follow their lead. We'll just meet in class after the exams. He was like that until we left varsity. He didn't play any sports, Mike. He liked sports, especially Orlando Pirates, of course, and they liked teasing people with sports. And would go to the soccer field and play rest soccer. He liked football, but football appeared to not like him that much. Even if the ball somehow hit his feet, he didn't seem to want to have an interest in what to do with it. What he preferred was to be on the sidelines, telling everybody what to do, and telling everybody what they are not doing. And he was always there. He was just always there. That's how Mike was. In our working lives, when we all regrouped here in Joburg, Mike took a turn. One of the incidents that happened while he was at varsity is that they had a misfortune of being physically injured in a hijacking. It didn't change Mark at varsity, but in working life, he had a bit changed, and I think it had a lot to do with Rapulane. He didn't stop being talkative, but he did tone down a bit. Even his drinking, he did tone down a bit. I suppose he became more responsible as we all grew up, and family life had its own other challenges. But he remained the Mike we've always known, very empathetic, always cared about his friends, wanting to know where his friends are, what they're doing. I had the other misfortune that Rapulane and my wife were close friends, and they were in the same class at medical school, so I always knew what Mike was up to and Rapulane, because without wanting to do so, one found themselves listening to a lot of conversations over the phone when the two were talking. I wasn't eavesdropping, but they would be loud, so we always really kept in touch. And at some point, I did get a sense that something was not well, because you know, when the doctors speak to each other, you can tell that there's counseling going on and advice about what to take or not to take. Eventually, Mike did tell me that something was not well, and you know, we kept the faith and we kept going, minding our businesses, focusing on our areas of responsibility. If you're close to Mike and he took a liking to you, he also wanted somehow to take charge of what you were doing. He would summon me quite a lot to a coffee meeting, just to check what's going on and if you're okay. And I'd also get a chance to question him on what he was doing and what he was up to. He was hurting quite a lot. There were times when he would indicate that he's not sure about what to do. And my sense was, it was always better to not talk about it. I tell him that I don't want to hear. I didn't want to know. We had an idea what challenges he was facing, and that what was important was that he needed to be strong and not lose his mind, because if he lost his mind, it would be a bit problematic if him and Rapulane at the same time were not able to take care of the kids. So one of the things that I encouraged him to do was to drown himself in work, and that work would be an escape for what he was dealing with, so that he thinks about other things. Problematic as work was from time to time, fortunately we were in the same circles and we could talk about other people and the work we had to deal with, but it was important that he escapes what was coming and he knew was coming. But he remained strong and very hopeful, and he remained very brave, which was important to him and to us. He never really called me during the day, Mike. He would call at night if he needed to call me. And very briefly, it was just to someone that, no, let's get together, even if it meant in 3 months' time, but that's what he would do. On this one day, he called me before 7. All he said was, hey, Menzi, Bulame is gone. She's gone. Funny enough, he was very calm. I was taken aback. I was very shocked. I actually broke down and cut the phone. He called me back, and funny enough, he was the one who was trying to comfort me, to say, no, it's okay. I was preparing for this day and it's finally happened. So I mustn't worry. I was quite annoyed by him, and I felt he shouldn't be that calm and relaxed. But I accepted that he'd been the one dealing with the situation the longest and knew it best, and I let it be. He made peace with it, and he gave all that he had towards ensuring that his kids were going to be okay. And we always joke that one day when I join practice, and if I join practice, we'll find a way of working together one way or the other. But he never lost his sense of humor. One of the days I came to see him in Rosebank, he accused me of being fat. And he wanted to know what happened to me, why am I so fat? I looked at him and just wondered, I just laughed and I wondered, he's the last person to be telling me that. But those who know why he would say that. But Mike was good. He really loved his friends. All I would say to the family is that for us, we've lost somebody that was a glue that kept everybody together. He always knew what everybody else was doing. And if you wanted to know what somebody else was doing, Mike could tell you what that person was doing. And would reminisce about all the things we spoke about at varsity that we do. And we're happy that we had actually done them. We had actually done every single thing we said we would do. And we seemed like we had nothing else to do but just to remain committed to what we had said to do. But we had achieved every little thing. And that made us very happy. It's unfortunate that Mike, responsible person that he is, left us and got sick, actually doing the right thing. He was doing exactly the right thing, what is expected of him, being exemplary. And in doing so, he got sick and he has now left us. Everybody that has spoken has described who he was and how he related to people. I agree 100% with that. He ran his race, and he will sorely be missed by all of us. I'll certainly miss his counsel. I'll certainly miss his admonishing. I'll certainly miss his kindness and his words of encouragement. because Mike was brave. He just never gave up. And when he raised his voice, you'd know that he is now serious. We were planning a lot of things about the work he was currently doing. And we'll have to find another way of dealing with some of those things. But to the family, God bless you for having given us Mike for all these years. And I hope that you'll find strength in your heart to accept what is. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen and family, allow me to acknowledge Advocate Similane as a former National Director of Public Prosecutions, mentor, and friend. That's exactly who he is. He'll be followed by Mr. Musia. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon to everyone in the name of the Jesus Christ. I wish to thank this opportunity of being allowed to come and stand before you on behalf of Mike's friends. He had many sectors of friends. I belonged to the other sectors. My name is Tulani Musia. I am Mike's friend. I was introduced to Mike a long time ago. And the way he was so unselfish and selfless, he introduced me to his family. Regardless of the period when we first met, he decided that, Tulani, I want you to meet my family. That's when I was introduced to Mike's mother and father when they came to visit in South Africa. His aunts, his in-laws, I'm glad that they are here for us. And moreover, he introduced me to his children who were born during the time or lifespan of our relationship. I grew up in Vosloorus. I stayed in Guatemala. On what led us to meet, only God knows. But the moment I met Mike, who hailed from Soweto, we clicked. He was not jealous about his friends that he knew or grew up with. Same applies to me. I was not jealous with the friends that I grew up with or knew. He would fondly introduce me to his friends. That will be Mapetla expensive according to him, because he liked to extend whatever things that he wished to say. Then at some point he'll say, when are we visiting Vosloorus or visiting the East? He'd come and visit me and I'll make him to meet my friends. The way he had been described by the previous speakers, like Kalipi, when he said, I used to call him Godo. So he would say, this guy will tease, and very hard. I think he's putting it very mildly. Mike was not only teasing, he would put more threats to you, as if he would want to do something to you. So if you didn't know him, it's either you fight him back, or you just leave it as it is, because his mission has been accomplished by extending whatever fear to you. That's how he was. Regardless whether he knows you for the first time or he's just met you, he didn't care. We are going to miss all those moments. As I said, that he had many sectors, opinion about differently and all that stuff. we both professional lawyers or legal practitioners. And besides that, we'll meet on social basis. And he introduced me to so many friends of his that have become more friendlier to me than he. And he will sometimes get jealous and say, when I saw Kuluma nabo Puka, nabo Tweli at some point, Uko, Ulona, Abu Matombolo, and all that. But he didn't have any problem with all those things. Same applies to me. I'm not on Facebook, but he was chatting with my friends from the East End almost daily. And those who knows him on Facebook, I'm told that he always was fascinated about soccer. And you also extend the very same threads, or you call them, whatever Caleb said it is. He will say whatever that he wants to say. And one thing that I was told after learning that of his passing, one of my friends told me that when he heard the news, he heard it from one of our other friends in a group, who said, man, I just saw something from Facebook that le out here and Facebook and stuff, but it didn't mean bad actually. Has passed on. So they were all looking for me just to tell, because I didn't know up until Puka called me and told me immediately after he got hospitalized and after he passed on. So I was so shattered that it was very difficult on how to handle all this, because the last moment or the last time I was with Ukoto was on the weekend here, Good Friday, when he came to visit me at my place. He insisted that he's coming on that day. It was on the 3rd of April, because I was hosting my niece's birthday and my children. It was my parenting week. So he said, I'm coming by, just call a few friends that are close by that he normally calls or speak to, and we're all at my place. And as Umenzi has indicated, he brought his lovely 2 expensive whiskey bottles and said, Debra, enjoy, just have cheap. And during that time, remember, it was still lockdown. But he ensured that after he was done with his consultations, I think he was in Pretoria that Saturday afternoon, he drove straight to my place and we checked. And when the time approaches that now it's nearing towards EKFU, we started dispersing. He said, no, because he used to sleep over when he came to the Israel. And the same has applied. When I visited Pretoria, I used to sleep over and they would welcome me. Ulane was very good at us. So that's the relationship that I had between myself and Mike. And it was going to be difficult for me to testify on his life, because there's a lot that we did together. There's a lot that we shared, both professionally and socially, and even politically. Because I know at some point we had differences when these issues of factions started to play around. And he will come back and blame me and my group from where I come from and said, you endorsed this. In between 2007 and this. So I would say, hey bro, that's how politics are. So it normally reminds me on how we messed up. I don't know whether you call it messed up or what, but we believed in what we chose at that particular time. So he'll tease you forever. That's how he was. I will remain his tip, Agoya. So he used to jump around like he's an ardent boxer or whatever, as if he's going to really do something to you. But there was nothing that he could do. Like his cousin Oromi will normally say, then that was the character that Mike was. So the way he was, and I love the way he showed and demonstrated his character. We are going to be sorely missed, and I wish to thank the family for having allowed us to know Mike, and for having shared Mike with us. He had departed before we explored a lot of dreams with him. So whatever that might have happened was a great shock to us. If it shocked me, I don't know what it did to his mother, sister, in-laws, and yeah. So we are all together in this, and all that we need to do, because we grew up in church, we are told that in difficult times like this, you need to kneel, you need to go to your corner, kneel down, and ask God for directions. All that I can say is that with God to Agalali Makolo, he will be sorely missed as a friend and a brother to me. It was difficult to handle the loss, but I think we should leave it up to God, because he knows what he's doing. He's got plans for us. I thank you.
Ke bo bopaki ba senata bo tswa ko dikgankeng. Dikganka tse di kopane le gene e se bana ba mpa, mara ba kopantswe ke tiro e ne ba etsa ka lerato. Lerato lo tswa mo dipelong tsa bona gobane ba ile ba bonana yaka lesika. Ntse le utlweletse ba re le gane ke le tsala, mara ne ke rata gore nka bitsiwa yaka abuti ka gobane o itsa yaka lesika. Ge ntse le bua mo bontate go tla kgopolo mo kelelong yaka ke re e ka re tsotlhe tse ntse le di bua tsena e be le gore di kwadilwe mo fatshe in a written form so that we can submit it to the children. Ke ile ka simolola ka ba le kelelo, I just get a thought gore what will the excitement be in the face of the grandchildren of Mike read this about their grandfather. It will be something to cherish and to hold for lifetime. Just a thought. Ke bitsa di-category tse pedi gape go ntla o senya nako. Ke ne ke le gona gore nka bua ka ntate Mokgalipi gagolo, ra ke bua ka motho o simoletseng go tla ka bopaki bo ileng ba tsosa ka fela rona e le advocate Simolane o tla simololang a tla ka bopaki bo. Ke bo ratile ntate. Bontsi ba rona le di bue re fitlha that other hidden side of a person. Mara o fitlhe wa e bua mona phatlalatse gore Rapulane e ne le motho o bjang. Ke rata go bitsa Black Lawyers Association representative, Mr. Chris Mamatuncha, o tla latelwa ke legal practice counselor, and ebile gape a partner ya ntate Kgoroeadira, ntate Chris Mudau. Ke rata ga ke latla ka tsela eo, ke a leboga.
Afternoon, Program Director, the family of Comrade Mike, the children, the colleagues, friends of Comrade Mike, members of the African National Congress branch, which Comrade Mike belonged to, led by the chairperson and the secretary, Comrade Chris Mudau, the partner of the late Comrade Mike, and all who are attending this memorial service, both here and through the virtual platforms. I want to express my deepest condolences on behalf of the Black Lawyers Association in Gauteng, where I serve as its chairperson. a branch where Comrade Mike belonged to until his last hours on earth. Comrade Mike joined the BLA Gauteng branch in 2015. Immediately after he and Comrade Chris Modao resumed practice as partners in a law firm called Kgoroeadira Incorporated Attorneys in Rosberg. They did not waste any time to locate the offices of the BLA. And indeed, without any further ado, we accepted them in our branch. So it is a sad moment for us. A sad moment because the BLA is not some club, or it's not a social club where we meet over the weekend to drink and eat meat. It is an association that was established in 1977 by a group of esteemed black lawyers, amongst them Judge Moshidi, the late Mokonane Golfripije, the first president of the BLA, the former Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic, Musenege DCJ, as it then was, and many other distinguished black lawyers, with the sole purpose of fighting the injustices of the apartheid system and ensuring that there's total transformation of the judiciary and the legal profession. In fact, of the legal profession, the judiciary in particular. And this means that the BLA saw as its main program to make sure that our courts are transformed. That when our people go to court, they see one of theirs. They see, they can speak the languages that they understand. It is a central task of the BLA to ensure that there is total transformation of the justice system. And the reason why I'm mentioning is that in that context, you then have to find correct members, not members that we see now in other organizations that I'm not going to mention, who parachute into leadership positions. We join organizations because they want to be deployed. So you needed dependable and reliable comrades in the form of Comrade Mike to pursue this struggle, because the struggle continues, even if we are lawyers. Comrade Mike was an attorney, a legal practitioner in good standing at the time of his departure. He was a very active member of the Gauteng branch. Last night I was sharing some few things with the family about the steadfastness of Comrade Mike. Very resolute, very abrupt comrade, very engaging, and very open-minded and honest. You will challenge leadership. If we are speaking things that don't make sense, you will raise a hand and say, but Chair, but I don't understand what you're saying. He did not fear power. He was very honest with you. But after meetings, we will go and have a drink, as we normally do in our meetings. We'll sit wherever, we'll have a good laugh with each other. That was Comrade Mike. I was also saying to the family last night that in November this year, we are going to our annual or normal elective conferences. So as part of the discussions that we normally have, because we have to, amongst ourselves, say, but who must then lead, because the current crop is facing out. So the name of Comrade Mike came out, and I'm not saying this because I want to please everybody or the family. I'm saying it because this is what we were discussing, to say, but that comrade needs to be part of the leadership collective. And we said that because we realized that there's potential for him to lead the association at some point. And this is a man who joined us about 6-7 years ago. So you can see that we're the leader in Comrade Mike.
He is going to be sorely missed or dearly missed in the organization, who are saddened and shocked by the sudden departure of Comrade Mike. But we are saying that all that we are left with is the lessons that we have learned from this man. Was very reliable, a very honest and sharp comrade. Last night I was also saying that it is very difficult for a lawyer to tell another lawyer that you are clever. But we are able to make this concession that Comrade Mike was an intelligible individual. We looked up to him when we were in meetings. When things are difficult, I knew that if Comrade Mike raises his hand, he's going to give direction to the meeting. So we have lost a very reliable person, a reliable member of the BLA, and on behalf of the branch executive committee of the BLA in Gauteng, on behalf of the membership, who I'm sure many of them are following these proceedings in the virtual platforms, we are saying to the family, please accept our condolences, please accept what God has given us. Let's trust in God. To the children, you must continue to soldier on and take up the legacy of your father. That is all we can do in honor of Comrade Mike. He was a dependable attorney. Comrade Chris Mudau, the partner, will speak more, I'm sure, about their working relationship. But I'm saying that we have lost someone very reliable here. But I think as close as they say, agwehlanga kungehlanga. Zoiteya, karibe zoteka zonda za mdzimu. Mdzimu ndiye anodiwa ori okwete minishangoni, mdzimu ndiye anodiwa zori where are we going? So ngani mafungo matukutuku ngori kawa mutawa Kgoroeadira rikoila na wiwe wa with your laliluna. May Comrade Mike's soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Matabanga batho bote nne ndi Chris Mudau, the partner ya Mike Kgausi to Rapulane Kgoroeadira. Me and Mike, we met. I think I started to know Mike 1997, if I'm not wrong, just after articles. When I met Mike at the same time, I met Mike's mother, Umani. Personally, I'm not here to talk about the pain that we are all going through it. I'm just going to share with you the life that I've spent with Mike, a good life, a laughing life, a reliable life. We relied on each other. We all know what Kgoroeadira's family has been going through in the last year and a half. It has just been painful. So I joined Mike. He had opened a firm with, it was called Kgoroeadira Rapulane and Partners. It was Mike and Charles is here, Rapadana, and a lady called Tandega Ngala. Then I joined them. Then we were still young at the time. Cash flow made us to agree that let's go and work and then we'll come back and practice again. That's what we agreed on. I only realized that me and Mike, we are twins. Mike liked to have parties, like you just say, no, let's go and buy beers and go and drink. At this, he had a townhouse in the south. So I said, this guy, you say, when has your birthday passed? He said, no, it's tomorrow, which was the 1st of February. So I said, no, but it's my birthday. So he said, but we are lying. You will call me madam. Depending on the mood. So one day I'm madam, one day I'm roller, one day hey Chris, it will depend. So I knew
when you call me by this name, then it's happiness, or there's trouble, or the mood is mild. So that's how I knew that me and Mike, we are basically twins. Then we teased each other. I remember Unani was there, Mike, between the twins, somebody is a little bit older. So fortunately, my mother was still a teacher in Van that day. She was not there to answer for herself, but Unani tried and explained what has happened. So depending on the time, I'll say, no, but I came earlier, Mike. I came earlier, I'm older than you. I say, but you're creating a story. But now, you know, when you grow older, you don't want to be older, you want to be younger. Unlike when you're young, you want to be older. So now the time has come for me to be older. I said, Mike, I know when you came, you are actually older than me, I'm younger than you. So we'll tease each other about that. But then we separated, we went to work in different places. Fast forward, then we came back and joined each other again. And then we agreed on the name, that it will be Kgoroeadira. We had some discussion, and then I said no. He said no, man, it must be Mudao Kgoroeadira. I said no. For it to rhyme properly, it must be Kgoroeadira Mudao. It's better than Mudao and then Kgoroeadira. It rhymes better when it starts the other way. So then we agreed on the name, and I was already not afraid of not paying the bank in terms of my car or my house, or let me say not paying debts. So Mike was still jittery because he was used to every month, you know, things are in order, you know, you pay your debits and everything. So I remember one day he phones me, he said, hey madam, you know. Then I said, Mike, no man, don't worry, man. Even if money is little, you will pay your debits, and then don't worry about me. He said, but no man, I've got to worry. So then he came into the tune as well. So you know, like people here, business people, they're lawyers, they know what I'm talking about. That cash flow is always a challenge in practices. Generally in business, cash flow is an issue. So let me talk about Mike's generosity, like the other people have spoken about it. Mike will be very hard on you, and if you don't know him or understand him, you'll actually sometimes think, is this guy right? Is this guy not mentally disturbed, you know, with the way he will do things? And then suddenly he had the ability to do something, I don't know how to put it, who cannot change, a different person altogether. Like other speakers have said that he will tease you and tease you and tease you, and you can't believe, and then he will threaten you. He will do that to me when he gets to the office when I'm there, because me and Mike, we led different practices. So we will go for a month or a month and a half, not even seeing each other, but just talking on the phone. Because he will work through the night and sleep in the morning and come to work maybe at 12 or at 1 or at 2 or at 3. I will work in the early hours of the morning, go to work and leave at that time before he comes. So our times were not really, we never been to the office at the same time, like most of the time. So only when we'll call each other and have an appointment if we've got to deal with an issue. That's how we work. So, but when he comes in and I'm there, and there's something, when he comes, they say, come here. So then I'll say, chairperson, what's wrong now? Because I used to call him the chairperson. Then he will address me on the issues, and he was very direct. He was never diplomatic about what he's addressing you on an issue. Even if you've done something wrong, so something right, but you did not follow, let me call it the process or the protocol. You will be told, no, at the end, so no, but you are right. But you didn't do it the right way, man. You did not consult. I said, but Mike, I told you, you were not listening. You were not listening because I told you on this day that we need to do this and that. He said, no, but you didn't tell me. Then we'll talk about it and that's it. But the good thing he was at is that he executed what we agreed. I will postpone it, say, no, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do what we call you procrastinate. Mike, if he said, no, we are going to interview a person, he's going to do it. If he say, I'm going to do this, he's going to do it that way. That's what was Mike's strength. We knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. He will tell you, whenever I'll bring it here, I'll do it, because I know you won't do it, and he will do it. And then I know that I won't be there, or I'll be out all over trying to get work and do this and that. I said to him, Mike, look, what we do, because you are a good lawyer. Mike was a very good lawyer. He was very detailed, attention to detail. He had that. He was very good in drafting. He said, whatever I get that means that you do it. And then I'll run in the streets and get whatever we get so we can survive. Because what you do might need time, so don't worry about that. Now I'll be running this thing like a spaza shop where we can have the cash flow to sustain us. And it was working. It was working until I was very angry with him, and then we had a good job. He doesn't draft. He said, no, this is big for me, Chris. I'm giving it to a senior counsel. And then he goes to one of our colleagues here in the building, I'll mention the name, and they do a good job. Then they get paid. Then I look at the bill, and the bill is, our bill is like 20% of the bill. The bulk goes, I say, Mike, no, you can't do that, Mike. We are running a business here. You are not coming here to reward your teacher because this gentleman was your teacher. I refuse. I told him, I said, Mike, from today, when you issue accounts, I want to see them. And I was serious. I said, I want to see them. Because if we don't do that, you will just be busy. I think you're making money, and you know you are running a charity. And now, all the time, you'll say, but now, I've built so much, and I think it's too much, man. Maybe we should cut it. I look at it and say, Mike, but you can't tell me. If it was me, it will be 2 or 3 times of this bill. And it's not because I'll be overcharging, but it's because I will just be charging all the time that I was working on the matter. So we agreed that, no, okay, you deal with the finances, I'll deal with the work, you know. That's how we complemented each other, me and Mike. And we were very good at that. We didn't have strict rules, but we knew who is good at what. Even when it comes to social circles, if he knows that that area is not good at, like, because some people don't understand him, when he approaches things, he will send me, he'll say, no, you can handle that situation. Or if he has made somebody angry and that person didn't realize that Mike was just joking, I'll be sent silently to go and make peace. And I'll do that. I knew that that was my job, I'll do that. All the time, the friends will know. He can just irritate you if you don't know Mike. And some people maybe don't realize it at that moment, but they realize it after, that this is how Mike was, you know. So when I heard that Mike is gone, when the sister called me on Thursday, I had a certain feeling. I felt like part of me is gone, and it will never come back again. I thought I was brave, or I've accepted as and when we were briefing each other, because we were talking on a daily basis, me and Mike and the sister, as to how is he doing, what are the doctors saying. So by the time when I spoke with the sister, she said, Chris, I think Mike is not going to make it. I said, okay, but deep down I thought, no, he's going to make it. I was very hopeful, because I've got friends who have gone through that and came back, and they're okay. But it's unfortunate that it happened that he had to go, and we've got to accept it. But when I was told that Mike is no more, it was a different thing altogether. Because 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before he said he's having flu symptoms, we had a discussion, just informal discussion, about COVID. He said, hey, Munda, this thing, this thing. I said, hey, Mike, this thing is eating people. We have got to be careful. The moment they opened, it was before they opened for our age, I think, or they've just opened, I can't remember. I said, we must go and vaccinate. So we agreed. Then we said, no, man, but we don't have time. We said we'll arrange for lunch, because normally when we don't see each other, we'll say, okay, when we've got time, let's just have lunch to catch up, you know, talk about social issues, business issues, this and that. Those were the last sort of discussion that we had, until he phoned me on a Monday. I think he vaccinated on a Sunday, if I'm not wrong. On Monday, he said, no, I'm having flu symptoms. I said, no, just go to the doctor and treat and take medication, and it will go. That was me. Then on a daily basis, he was informing me of his progress, what is happening, until when he said, no, man, this thing is not going away. I'm not improving. That was, I think, on a Thursday or a Friday. And at that time, I was driving to, I think it was a Saturday, I was going to Vienna to bury a relative. My brother-in-law had passed away. So then he said, no, yes, I went to the doctor, the results are back, I'm positive, and the keys. But the doctor said, if I don't respond to the medication, the 4th day I must go to the hospital. So we buried on Monday. When I was driving back, we were talking about this, how he was feeling. But he said, no, but I'm not okay, but it's not yet bad. So the following day, on a Tuesday, I was going to, what's this place? I was going to work in Mpumalanga, I think, yeah. He phones me, and when he talks, I could feel that he was getting tired. He will have to sort of and then talk to me. I said, Mike, no, you are not okay. He said, no, tell me, what are you feeling? Then I was hard on him. He said, no, man, I'm not okay. No, man, but is it not the 4th day or the 3rd day that the doctor said you must go to the hospital if you're not feeling well? He said, yes. I said, no, just go to the doctor. Just stop everything and go to the hospital, sorry. He said, but if he started by saying, he said it 3 times, started by saying, but if I go to hospital, I might not come back. He said, I might not come back. Then when I was insisting, the 2nd time, he said, no, man, I might not come back. The 3rd time, he said, Chris, he said, when I was if I go into hospital, I won't come back. I said, you can't say that, Mike. You can't say that. Just go to the hospital. Then I felt to resisting. Then I made some calls to some friends to say, hey, I cannot go to Mike's house now. I'm on my way to this place. Please just arrange an ambulance and make sure that he gets help. Fortunately, at the same time, he had spoken to the mother, who was also handling the situation on the other side. So we have been updating each other. So around the process, I felt like, no, man, this thing might happen. I'm ready for it. But I was not. Honestly, I was not. It just hits you like a lightning. And the pain is just too much. So you can imagine the pain that I feel, imagine about the family, what they feel. But I'll just say to you, friends have already spoken about a lot about that I was going to talk about or that I've experienced, which I won't go to. I would just like to say to you that me and Mike were brothers. We were friends, we were family. I used to call Ngani, which I do for years, that I call her Ma or old lady, because that's how I call my mother as well. I'll call her Ma or old lady, that's the name. So I've adopted her the way, because Ngani was actually our surety when we were still boys. You know, when you start, you don't have anything. Now, even now, when we were struggling, Mike said, hey, I'll speak to Ngani, man. I said to Mike, no, man, but she has done a part, man. She's a pensioner, man. Please, man, let's try something else. He said, no, you know Ngani will help us, then we'll just pay her back. I said, no, man, let's try other things. We're at the level where we can try other things. Let's just leave Ngani alone. She's a pensioner, she needs the money, she needs to look after herself. But Mike was such a generous person. I can tell you that he was very generous. With his colleagues who he schooled with, or he knew that were advocates, and then maybe they're struggling a bit, he will keep on saying, Chris, no, let's give work to so and so, let's give work to so and so. And I'll keep on saying to him, Mike, if we do that, we will never make money. Because you are giving away work that you can do, and then now it means instead of you making 5 rand, you are going to make 2 rand. And then he will hear me, but he will forget, he will come back and say the same thing. So I had accepted that, look, Mike, let's help them if we can, you know, especially if we've got some good job and then we are sustaining ourselves, we will do that from time to time, you know. He will come and say, before you even get paid by the client, there are clients who takes forever, like the state attorney. If we can afford, he will tell you, no, man, let's pay so much, let's pay him so much. Since we started now, in the 2nd time we work together, me and Mike, we have never made a drawing to say, this year we've made so much profit, let's take home this X amount, this X amount. No. The reason being, we had agreed that no, let's build our firm to a certain level. Let's empower people that we work with and let them earn. He never agreed to pay a candidate attorney or your PA less than the rate in Johannesburg. I said, Mike, but we cannot compete at that level. I will never win that. That one I'll never win. I can tell you now, our attorneys, they earn more than me and Mike, and that is because of Mike. And I told him, Mike, no, until we make money, I won't forgive you for that. But that's how Mike was, and I knew that one I would not win. He will just tell you, no, we can't pay candidates like what Pretoria firms do, you know. They are using this person, but they are paying this person like he's not a lawyer, because he respected to be a lawyer. And when I come to work dressed like I'm wearing a jean and a shirt and a cap because I'm not meeting people, I'm not doing formal job, I'm just going to work, I will be seriously chastised. No. How are you? Look at yourself. Look at yourself. And that one I'll be told in front of everyone. I'm not called to the office or anything like that. No. He was very strict about the etiquette, how you do things as a lawyer, the office, you know, the coffee the mug that you use, you know, he was very strict about that. And my colleagues know that this is Mike. When he comes, he can be very hard, but he was very generous to them. He was I can attest to that. Mike was very generous. With those, I just wanted to show you the part of the business part and me and him. My friends who I've met them through Mike, they've already spoken about Mike. To the Kgoroeadira family, I'm part of the family. My colleagues are part of the family. They will continue to be forever. We will carry Mike's being forever. And we will be helping each other with whatever that we need to assist each other. And unfortunately, Muzimu Orebeya Uneraba Onena Musi, Azuzanda Nizashu, Refonostanganeza, riding as over strong as people. And it's just that what was happening, you cannot believe, because today, when I was informing someone, sending the links, one of our attorneys, our comrades in Toyando, Francis Mvundlela, he said to me, no. I said to him, why it's like, you are not aware, you know, the way he was talking, and the way I know him too. He says, no, man. Anongo Zwipana, didn't you hear? I said, what? He said, no, Liz Rambau is no, she's passed away yesterday. Liz Rambau I worked with her for years, and she knew Mike very, very well. Even when she worked with those who knows Gogo, who was the president of BLA, they were partners. So basically one was buried this week, and then we passed the week, and then the partner passed away, and the sister of Gogo. So this thing is just happening in all families, and we just have to accept and hope that God will be on our side, because this pandemic is wiping us all. You don't know who's tomorrow. When we live here, we don't know. But let's leave everything to God. Let's keep on praying for Him to protect us. Let's look after ourselves. And with those few words, I would like to say, Karish Tanganezo Mike Yorsia, and then re do bezngara kono do bapasi, re panana chir.
I think it's necessary to mention this, that the other name of Michael that is inherited from his father, my cousin, and he was already of age to start using that name. It's a Lion of Judah. We've got the tendency within the family. That's who Michael was, a Lion of Judah. Time is starting to be against me. I'm not threatening the following speakers, but I'm just mentioning it so that we take it into consideration. I think I've got 5 or 6 speakers left. And there's a category that gives me fear, and it still have to come. I'll be comfortable after that category is over. Ke kopa re latelwe ke Senior Council Musi Skakani, Senior Council Musi Skakani, a latelwe ke African National Congress, Mr. Tumelo Party. Then from there we get into the category of the family. I thank you, gentlemen.
My Menza said that Mike would call them. At least you were lucky, all of you, he called you before he came to your house. Mike never called me, he was at the gate. And I would ask him, Mike, where are you? And he would say, that has been the case since I've known him actually. And I've known Mike since 1988. Ungane would realize that I was the school teacher who used to chastise him. But anyway, all you've said about him means that he was a consistent person, because he was as troublesome as you said. The first time I walked into the class when I was still a teacher and I didn't know Mike, he said, hey, so that's how we became friends. Anyway, Chair, I don't want to waste your time. I think I should read what I had written, because it would take long if I spoke to you about Mike. But I think I speak of many, many people. I speak on behalf of maybe Mr. Fraser, who was very close to him, was his boss, and maybe Roxanne, Human, and many others that we know Mike with. I was the guy Mike phoned when no one knew he was phoning somebody. But I thought I should tell you this about him for his kids to know, because basically what I've written about him comes from Mike himself. If you open Mike's WhatsApp, you will see the lessons we all taught Mike and we never realized how he grasped it. Mike's WhatsApp profile tells you exactly what he was taught: social justice. You will see it's the words of Pope Francis. He says, rivers do not drink their own water. Now that's a very, very powerful statement. The sun does not shine on itself. And it defines how Mike lived his life for others. And I've said, I'm going to read what I had written. I didn't think I was going to fly up here because I was elsewhere. But because Mike, as you know, Mike said to me when I was ill, very, very ill, more ill than he was. And when I recovered, the first thing Mike said to me is that, ah, Moziman, awufanga. You know, I had a speech written for your funeral. Anyway, no language has the precise vocabulary to describe the pain caused to us by the passing of one of my dearest students, my colleague, my friend, and my loyal comrade, Mike. I've known him since February 1988 to his last day. And basically, I've kept contact with Mike since then. Mike was much larger than death would have us believe. His life since his youth until his untimely death will leave an indelible and memorable mark on the history books of those who live with Mike. He lived for others. His profile tells it. Death can never kill Mike. He remains with us and will forever be in our hearts and minds. He is now in a better place. If his children didn't know this, it's difficult to say, but you have to read Romans 8, verse 18 and 28 when I'm gone to see that it all works well together. As a friend, Mike remained the same person I met as my student. We were almost the same age, and that's why he always accuses me that for the good things that he was, he got those despite me. And the bad things that he did was because of me. As a teacher, nothing makes you fulfilled like seeing your own student become better than you at the craft you taught him. I taught him English, he spoke it better than I did. And I taught him a bit of politics, and he knew it better than I do. And a bit of law, and he knew it better than I do. Mike will always be there in the footnotes of our own life stories. His generosity of spirit, his forthright and honest approach to life is the legacy he leaves for us as his friends and colleagues. The ever conscientious Mike, the ever compassionate and gentle human being, he was indeed the living example of the great home and the great parents that raised him. Mike was the permanent light that shines through every darkness. Even in grief, Mike was graceful, never showing his deepest wounds caused by the death of his loving father, Mr. Kgoroeadira, his dear sister, Kgoroeadira, and his lovely wife, Rapulane. He never showed it, but because I was his teacher, I knew when Mark was hurting. It seems sudden that he's gone. It seems cruel that he's taken away from us, from his family and friends. However, as he told me when I was very ill in December, and I quote him, Muzi, it is what it is, and none of us can change God's plans for each one of us, close quote. May he rest in eternal peace, well-deserved peace. May the God Almighty give his family, his children in particular, the strength to know that God is never wrong. Even tragedy is God's plan, and in good time, his wisdom will be revealed to you, and you will become what Mike wished for you. Rest assured, Mike is in a much better place now and looks upon you more generously and will be a solid shield from life's troubles. You are blessed, just like he was to have you. Live your lives as if he's still watching you. Farewell, my student. I called him my teacher as well because he used to tell me that, Muzi, for the bad things I am, whenever I criticized him, he would say, how could I come out having been taught by you? I could only be bad. The golden gates of heaven are wide open to let you in. Send our love to those who will welcome you, the Kgoroeadiras, and all your relatives that passed on before you, the angels of the heavens, those who lived for others the same way you did, Griffiths and Victoria Mkenge, Chris Hani, Owar Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Steve Biko, Andrew Zondo, Solomon Masangu, and your friend, Stella Jean. May the heavens' golden gates be flung wide open to let your gentle soul into the midst of the blessed. Farewell. Thank you.
Long live the spirit of Rapulane Kgoroeadira, long live. Long live the spirit of Rapulane Kgoroeadira, long live. Long live the spirit of Ospulani, long live. Long live the spirit of Ospulani, long live. Long live the African National Congress, long live. Amandla. Amandla. Re latlhegetswe re le lekala la Dr. Yusuf Dadoo. That is the name of our branch, the ANC branch in this ward, Ward 70, Dr. Yusuf Dadoo. We thank the parents of my Kgoroeadira for borrowing us this humble soul. Mengani, re leboga gore a dimile ngwana wa gago. O ile a re bulela lapa la gagwe. Not only lapa la gagwe, even the law firm that you worked for, or the partner that he was with, Ntate. It was difficult to separate Mike from family work and all. He was a social giant. So when you saw Ntate, when you saw the kids, when you saw them, you knew that that was his life. It was difficult. Because everything that he did, the generosity that all the speakers spoke about, they did not only come from him alone, but the entire family and the family. I also want to agree with all the speakers that he was a very busy and naughty person. I will recall, let me just isolate this incident that we had, because he was also a politician, so he would play politics with us. So in this particular incident, what happened was that myself and Chair, he is here himself, what happened on this particular meeting was that we are accused of plotting or planning things behind other members of the executive committee, of which is part of politics to do that. So one of the comrades that we played with, he sold us out and went to tell other members. So they came very hard on us in that particular meeting. So I recall Comrade Mabuza, Comrade Azwi, and Comrade Mike Kgoroeadira threatening us that they were going to recall us. We didn't even have a chance to contest that what they were saying, because they were having transcripts of our chats, WhatsApp chats. So the meeting kept on just deteriorated to the point that they even questioned my grammar in the minutes. They questioned it went to the extent of questioning full stops and question marks and commas. They rejected my minutes. It was just a bad meeting. I went home with Chairperson to say, what do we do? Do we resign? What is it that we are going to do after people came hard on us? And I went home. I could not eat that night. And I met the Chairperson the following day. He also told me that I could not eat. But the man called me, I think the Sunday after that. The meeting was on a Friday. And I looked at the phone and said, why should I take his call? What is it that he wants to tell me after such a big fight? And he said, no, Paula, where are you? I said, I'm home. What do you want? I said, come here, man, I want to talk to you. I said, why should I go to this guy's house after he's done so much? But that was this character of mine. So I went to his house, and after we met, that was water under the bridge. So, but there's one thing that I did. I went to my Facebook page. I deleted him as a friend. I deleted Mabuza as my friend, and I deleted Azwi Nesengani, because I see these guys are going to end my political career prematurely. So that's what I did. But years went by. We also faced in our ward with a challenge of cable theft. So Comrade Mike Kgoroeadira had a solution for everything. So we met at his house to say, how do we resolve this problem of cable theft? This was one of the achievements that the branch came with, to say, let us engage the people who were in the security sector in the branch. If you look at my branch file as a secretary, when I look at the file and we have people like Mike, you smile, because it is that caliber of membership that makes you shine as a secretary. You look at it and you say, wow, I have the best in my branch. So what we did, we went to Comrade Ubongiwe Zulu to say, we have a problem in this branch. There's cable theft and it's not stopping, it's not ending. had a meeting with the comrade. He did what he was supposed to do. And the following people were arrested. Until today, that problem stopped. We never had a problem of cable theft. And Comrade Kgoroeadira was in the forefront of that, addressing that problem. The second one that I want to share with you is in the suburbs, you hardly expect people to close roads, to do barricade streets. But there was a problem in Stoneridge, I must say in particular. That estate had no electricity for about a week or two. It was in 2018, if I remember. So Mabuza came to me and said, "No, Pala, we must do something. It's a week now, we don't have electricity. What are we going to do?" Then Mabuza said, "We must close the road, we must close the R55. Say, "You, in the suburbs?" So yes, we are going to close that road. It was a Sunday and it was raining heavily. So when you are a secretary, you are the first contact and the last contact. Whatever is happening, it's your responsibility. So I had to drop whatever I was doing. We went there, and the first baggy to close the road was Mabuza's baggy. We closed the road, people started calling other people to say, "Hey, there are problems in Centurion, in front of Stoneridge." And more people started arriving, and that strike or that protest was a great success because the mayor of Tshwane, the acting mayor at the time was Abel Dao. He came and met with us to say, "No, let's have a meeting on a Monday, the following Monday, to address this matter." The morning I was still calculating, am I going to work or am I going to this meeting with the mayor? Before I even finished preparing myself for work, and then Comrade Kgoroeadira my call to say, "Hey, no, Pala, where are you?" I said, "No, I'm just about to." I said, "I'm waiting for you outside. Let's go to the meeting." Remember, some of us are still reporting to bosses and work. You need to phone to say, "Why are you not coming to work?" So Rapulane ba ipereka, they're having their own firms. So I don't remember what I told my boss that day, but I was there in Heaven World Community Center. And when you got there, the mayor was not there. Hey, Mike was fuming. So this guy doesn't take us serious. And there are days where he just flows non-stop. He's fuming all day, and you must just be prepared to listen. And I felt sorry for the mayor. The mayor arrived late. He tried to greet us, and he just looked at him and said, "Is this your mayor?" And I said, "Yeah, that's him." Go. I don't know what happened there after, but I had to sneak out of that meeting and go to work. And it was very bad in that meeting. But we learned a lot from this comrade. There's a lot that we learned. Very humble person, very generous person. The last braai we had with him was on the 16th of June, on the Youth Day. We were at his house. We had lots of meat. The comrade thought the president was going to close a complete lockdown, and Botops, they were not going to open. So he went to stock a lot of drinks. So when the president announced, "No, it will just be the normal Thursday closing, but Monday we can still buy," he was stuck with these boxes of, so he didn't know what to do. No, he started calling us, "No, come to my place." Hey, we're always someone to Stoneridge. You don't want to say, "Why is this always guy calling you?" So we went 16th of June, we had a ball, and it was very nice. But lastly, I also want to say, he had this tendency of sitting at the back as if he was not part of the executive of the branch. And he would start questioning the chairperson and the secretary as if he's not part of us, behaving like he's a general member. And I'll be very upset to say, "But you're supposed to be here with us and assisting with responding to questions. But you behave as if you were not Umgwenya, you are part of a community." Yeah, no, I'm not leadership. You are doing nonsense there, you guys. We are going to recall you. So that's what he did to us many a time. But I want also to share the special moment when he took Buntle with his hand It was a voting day. Which year was it? When you went to vote at Sutherland? Yes. He made sure that Montle does not make a mistake. Montle was going to vote the ANC. So Sutherland is my VD. It's a voting station where I'm there as a party agent. So every election year, I go sit in the Sutherland High School as a party agent or a VD coordinator. So that particular day he came with Bontle, made sure that Bontle cast his vote, and she did that. I don't know how he was so convinced that Bontle voted the ANC, because your vote is a secret, but he was very happy on that day. He sat outside the VD, never left immediately, as he always did, to say he'll just be around, not doing anything. But sometimes very destructive, I must say, because you are expected to assist people, at the voting station. If there are challenges, you are expected to assist them. But when Comrade Mike is around, I'm telling you, you'll receive a call to say, you are not doing what you're supposed to do there. You are getting complaints about you guys, you are sitting outside, you are making noise, you are laughing and so on. But that was him, who laughed the whole time. So, really mokgatlo wa ANC re latlhegetswe, mme re a lla ha re le jaaka dikhutsana re lla sentle ka gonne re bone botshelo bo bontle bo re botshetseng le re Kgoroeadira. Re ba lelapa ha la latlhega, re tla dula re na le lona ka metlha ya ka re tlhola re le teng. Ha ke tsamaye ke le esi, ke na le modulasetulo le mme Makeke, so le bone ne ba re le ko lapeng maabane rotlhe re dumalana ka gore kgwanyape e tsatsi le lengwe re tlo go e fenya ya COVID. We are not going to sit and question to say who started this COVID, where was it manufactured, and so on, where does it come from. All we are going to say, we are going to defeat this monster. Whether vaccinated or not, we are going to find a solution. Ba bantsi ba ba re tlogetseng ka ntlha ya kgwanyape, mme ra re fela. E tla tsamaya ntse e ya e fela, mme ko pheletsong re tla bua yaka go kile ga buiwa ka malwetse a kile a tshwenya in the past. Bo swine flu, today we can say it was defeated. We are saying COVID will be defeated. Amandla. Long live the spirit of Comrade Kgoroeadira, long live. Long live the spirit of my Kgoroeadira, long live. Amandla.
Ke leboga dipui tse di fetsa go bua, true testimony ya Rapulane. Ke kopa go jumpa the video tributes. I'll skip them. Ke bitse batswadi ba ka le bana ba ka, re tla bona before closure, approximately before 7 o'clock, if there is still time left, re tla allocate the video tributes. Ka tlhompho e kgolo ke rata go bitsa mme motswadi wa ka Matswale e le mme wa Pulane, mme Aleta Morake, a latelwe ke motswadi mme wa ka Ngani Kgoroeadira e le mme wa Rapulane Gausitse Kgoroeadira. Ka tlhompho e bomme ba ka a timela.
Thank you, Program Director, Ndati Kgoro. I'd like to thank Kgoroeadira for giving me this opportunity to come and pay tribute to my son-in-law, Hausiti Rapulane Michael Kgoroeadira. Greetings to honorable guests, close family, extended family, and friends. My name is Matati Aleta Morake, the mother of the late Dr. Rapulane Sara Morake, and I am the mother-in-law to Rapulane Mike Kgoroeadira. As a parent, your worst fears are realized when you lose a child. The overwhelming pain weighs you down like a ton of bricks and leaves you utterly confused and speechless. This is how I have felt since Thursday last week. So, to help guide my thoughts, I am first going to read a poem by Benny Shipman. The name of the poem is Son-in-Law Will Never Be. Son-in-law, others may see, but it will always be son to me. When you took my daughter by the hand and stood before God and men, and you stood beside her and held her hand to the very end. You told her you would love her until your dying day, and that you could not live without her being by your side, that you loved her. You have kept your promise that you would never leave her side, that you would love her now, forever and always. Now you are standing by her side, holding her hand in God's heavenly land. So, son-in-law, it will never be, for you will always be a son to me, for now, forever, and always. Manabis, however strange and painful the Almighty's plans may be for us, we need to trust in the process until such a time that the picture behind the process is revealed to us. For now, I just ask that we amplify our prayers for the magnificent creations Rapulane left behind, tshegofatso, bontle, boitshepo, and boipelo. May they be shielded by the Almighty's grace and be well looked after forevermore, so that they can carry on the family legacy. As they are nkgono, I will always be there to make sure of it. Rest well, my son. Robala ka kgotso kgoro. Thank you.
Greetings to the friends, the colleagues, and associates of Mike Rapulane, and to all the family members physically here with us, and to those who are with us virtually. We prayed for his healing. We prayed for a miracle. I'm standing here as a mother of Rapulane, Mike to many of you, a grandmother to the children, and a mom to many of you who have come to know me as we together embarked on this long and sad journey. But the saying that every dark cloud has a silver lining is true. On this journey, the family and I came to know so many people who, under normal circumstances, we may not have met or spoken to. So I'll take this opportunity to thank each and every person who supported my family throughout. The support given varied from material to prayers and words of support. To the family, I'm grateful to all of you. You have stood guard around me, being an anchor to my unit throughout the 2 catastrophes that we have and are going through. For the first time, I think no one of you family said, "Ncane hlala phansi, sizokwenza lokho. Sit down, Ncane, we are here to attend to this or that," because they always call me to order. They say, "I must sit down." I don't know how you family make it. Thanks to the many ex-colleagues of Mike in the state security, some of whom knew me from before this. They would call to check what our needs are. Frankly, there were times I would feel embarrassed to say, "Get this or that for us." I'll sing it. Roxanne, you were very delighted when I said, "I'm your mom." Thank you. Through you, may I say thank you very much to your brother, Dr. Paulson, I think I'm correct, because at times I don't hear very well, who took it upon himself to be our medical support, both the children and myself, from a distance, or should I say, virtually. But he provided all the medical support and the advice that we needed. To Kgoroeadira Modao, no words can express what is in my heart. Chris, Mike left us with you. The patience and care that you and the total team, staff team, have shown to us proves that you and Mike were running a practice that has Ubuntu, compassion, as its ethos. Please maintain that culture. Thanks to one and all. About Mike, I've said quite a lot to many of you over the whole period. I kept on updating you. But just to go back, when the 1976 riots erupted, Mike was only 5 years old. The sound of guns traumatized him so much that any banging sound, be it a door closing, would scare him, and he would run to hide himself. It was for this reason that Ernest and myself decided that for their schooling, we send them to a quiet and serene area away from Soweto. My parents did not understand a mother that would send so young children to a boarding school. So they went to St. Brendan's Catholic School in Bandelerkop. Mike could not understand the harshness with which the pupils were treated there. Whenever I visited them, which was once every month, to see how they were settling in, he would say, "Ha, Ncane, hawitsi, on Donderdag," which is Thursday, "sewa donor," meaning that on that day, that was the day that the was caretaker or boarding master, whatever they called him, Ware Donor. I believe that experience made Rapulane to be very protective to not only his children, but to all his nieces and nephews. Mike was a very loving and a caring person. The family and friends will miss that. On the day we were burying my son in Lostamo, I said in his tribute, I'm very sorry that today Rapulane is not present here to send off his brother. Whenever the two were together, everyone would be laughing out loud. They both had big tummies, but the one would tease the other about his tummy, saying, my tummy is better than yours. And I said, I cannot imagine how Rapulane will take the news of Stambo's passing on. Never mind how or who will tell him. Little did I know that the two had already made a pact to be together. There's so much to say about Rapulane, but as I say, I have said quite a lot. Rapulane, when he went to the hospital, when he first learned that he was COVID positive, and he called me, he broke down and said, I don't want my children to be orphans. When he left the house, taken in an ambulance, we were assured that within 3 days or so, he'll be back home. But he has never come back to us. We had to go with the children to say our goodbyes to him in the hospital. See them switch off all the machines once we have said our goodbyes together with the children. We were there with him till the end. Tshegofatso, Bontle, Pelo and Tshepo, you have lost a loving and caring father. He made the impossible possible for each one of you. However, he has left lessons to each of you. It is now up to you, Khotsomola, pull out what you have learned from him and run with it. You have to make him proud. Know that you are not alone. You are not orphans. Don't refer yourselves as being orphans. Khalidi Kuzana, Anisiyo is Dandani. No one will take the place of your mother and father in your lives. In fact, no one wants to do that. However, know that you have the family support and warmth. The first person you have is your aunt, Mpamore. She's very strict, I know. And what she can, she goes. But she's very passionate, especially around your education. I suppose you know how she speaks to all of us. It won't be only to you, but that's the way she speaks to all of us. However, she means well. We, your grandparents, and your Aunt Neo are also here for you. Tando and Kgoroeadira, you had an uncle who cared for you, even when you lost your mom. You all know that he wanted the best for all of you. You know you have the family support. I thank you for rallying around us when needed. You all had to grow up and deal with it, as your mom used to say. Neo Gamede, I would like to thank you so much, my doctor interpreter. Whenever I had to talk to the doctor about Rapulane to find out his condition, I would greet him and then pass the phone to Neo, and so that she could talk to the doctor and find out exactly what was the condition. Eventually the doctor asked me, he said, who is this young voice? I talk to you and suddenly I hear a voice of a person around 30 years talking to me. I said to him, that's my granddaughter, who is in 5th year medicine. So he said, you should have told me from the beginning. Then I would have spoken doctor to her. Thank you very much, Neo. You did not have time to wallow in your own sorrow after losing your father. Thank you, Mpamore. You lost your brother, your confidant, and a father in Rapulane, just at the footsteps of your husband, Stambo passing on. You did not think of your own situation, but jumped onto the racing horse. May, thank you very much for being here for the children. Finally, Rapulane, I'm lost without you and Stambo. I am certain that Ntlantla is shattered at your leaving him by himself. May you rest in peace. Be assured that your children will be loved and looked after. Modimo ha o sitwe.
After Malti, Alpine, Mumutuadi, Alpako Tivumba Pilu, Manji Akumuto, Manji Akaho, Manji Abukamoso. Urumudimura, no one can plan for tomorrow. Because Kian Mudimukasibi, Otivan for Kamuso, Hoita Halangaro. But after Boom, there was a Tobua. Wanapo kama sobaka, leo kama soba di kokolo lewana, ile kama soba bo khanyang, kaba kalamanzi adule mo so hapilu tamo. Kina vense ki emezi ya di kokolo zaka. Bana ita.